Ooh, what up, though? At long last, it is the return of knockouts and three counts. Hopefully, my internet's working fine. But before we get there, you know what the deal is. I got to tell you about the homies over at Potter's Tree Service that help us to put this show on for you guys. If you're in the need for tree removal, tree trimming, chipping service, storm damage cleanup, walnut logging, lot clearing, or just need your damn grass cut, Potter's Tree Service is the way to go. Hit up Asa. Tell them we told you to come over there. You don't need Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Just use Potter's Tree Service, and I promise you, you will have the best service possible. Until then, and in between time, make sure you enjoy the show. Hit that subscribe button, like button, share button, and tell a friend. Peace.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Rock, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
Cover! We got it, the new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast dating to the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
All right, and just like that, we are back at it. Knockouts and three counts. Finally, hopefully getting this whole internet thing and all that bullshit taken care of. But we got a whole new show for you. We got a lot to talk about tonight. There was shout out to past guest of the show, Austin Bashi, killing a guy over on Dana White's Contender Series, making his name known and getting him a UFC contract. We've also got Sean O'Malley going with Merab at the Spear soon. We'll talk about that. This Friday, we've got past guest of the show, Christine Ferea, is going to be defending her strap against Jad Masan Wong. Then, on top of all that, you know we got to talk about some wrestling. So we got to talk about the move from Smackdown to USA, NXT going to CW. You got Odyssey Jones getting released. You've got CM Punk versus Drew, and it's almost time for AEW All Out, so there's a lot to talk about. But how are y'all motherfuckers doing on a Thursday?
It is Thursday, and it's football season. Football's back. We got something to fucking watch besides us, obviously. We're the best thing on Thursdays anyway, but still. Football season's back. That means Lions football's back, man. I'm feeling good. A lot of fights coming up, a lot of wrestling coming up. Great time right now.
Corey, how you feeling on a Thursday?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. I shared some pictures in our little group chat. I've been wrenching on the bikes all day long, trying to get my little bit of maintenance done before the cold starts to set in on us. And got some new work done on the little bike. Got me a little bike and was having fun practicing my woolies with it. You know, trying to get there with the cool kids. You know, learning how to balance and stuff. But no, all jokes aside, having a little fun on a little 125 is pretty cool. Honestly, man, like J-Bone was just saying, excited for the football season. Fall's not my favorite because that means I gotta retire the bike soon. But at least I got football to make up for it.
Shit,
So
not me, man. That means cider and donuts and haunted houses and all that shit. We're good money over here.
Yeah, Halloween, Cheapy Creepy's coming up.
Yes,
man.
Sir.
We got a lot of good things to look forward to.
Yes, sir. And I promise I won't backdrop somebody in the mosh pit this time.
You can't promise that.
You can't lie. That was fucking
promise
epic.
That.
That was
Although
fucking...
I did see some of the bands that were announced for Cheapy Creepy and some of the people that they're going to be dressed as. System of a Down is one of them, and somebody also is playing as Ozzy Osbourne. So I think that's going to be pretty dope.
I mean, I'm okay with that, dude. Even though they're cover bands, I'm usually not a fan of cover bands like that. But, dude, that party is literally a blast every fucking time I've ever been there. So I am looking forward to it. But speaking of what things to look forward to and all those good things, we mentioned it a little bit in the intro. What were your guys' thoughts on what we saw with our good buddy Austin Bashi winning his contract on Dana White's Contender Series?
Corey, you want to go first?
I mean, yeah. What do you?
Here we are.
What do you mean? I'm literally right here. But no, for Austin Bashi, I could not have been more happy, dude. I couldn't. Literally, like while I was sitting there watching the fights, I was like, he was definitely pouring his all into it, but as somebody who's called his fights from behind the microphone, it didn't necessarily look like anything new. It looked like the pressure that he constantly brings on people. He definitely, his opponent was able to defend a little bit more of the takedown, so he had to implement some of the striking that we don't always see in some of his fights, but he looked really good in all aspects of it. Once those aspects were brought to light, he looked really good in all facets. So in my eyes, and I know me and you, Kyle, had talked a little bit behind the scenes and felt the same way, that like, if anything, it was a good way to be able to show that he's not just a grappler. He's able to go out there, land some solid shots, almost knock down old boy. And honestly, it was a really good one-sided fight to be able to earn your way into the UFC.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he was patient out there. He worked his game, man, like we've seen him do before. And I see there was no way he wasn't getting a contract on that show last night. Of all the fighters on there, he was the most dominant. Besides
that
TKO.
girl that knocked that girl's life out of her body was the most.
That was something crazy. Yeah. Besides that,
that's the nastiest female knockout I think I've seen in a long time. Because my old girl, and what's crazy is the girl she knocked out, it's the LFA champ.
Yeah,
I watched that girl put it on somebody a few months ago, and man.
So other than that, I guess. Yeah, he put on a show, man. Dominated. Yeah, congratulations. That dude, like I said, I posted on Facebook, that's a future UFC champion right there. So get used to seeing him around.
Couldn't agree more, dude.
I mean, I'm the most humble kid I've ever talked.
Yeah.
Like literally trying to have a conversation with him almost felt weird because of my natural instinct to just be like, man, you did so effing good. You know, the like he literally just doesn't even seem like he's like used to people swearing around him. He's such a like good-hearted like individual, be able to go out there and perform the way that he does. Like all props to him, and the way he was giving all glory to God and stuff like that. You know, you could tell he was very happy for.
Oh, it's 100% legit with him. He's not one of those people that just, oh yeah, God is so good after I win in that. Like,
no, I know
that. No, I know you know that. I'm talking about for people that don't know the kid. That's what you see is what you get. He's one of the most clean-cut people you'll ever meet. Ultimate baby face. But man, when that kid steps in the cage, and what's scary about it is in this fight, he probably had the most opportunity he's had to be able to really showcase all his skills and shit. And I still don't feel like we've seen the best of his I don't think we've seen the best of his striking ability yet either. And that's what's crazy about it. Because the Métis that's in his corner, I've trained with that guy for years. That guy was a 6-time champ in Lumpini for Thailand, or for Muay Thai in Thailand. I mean, when that kid really fully matures and is able to mix it in and out and over, man, good God, that guy's going to be a problem.
Yeah, definitely.
And what was funny to me, though, is after the fight.
Since we're talking
after the fight, man,
quick, what's your guys' the internet cut out. But what I was saying was, I want to get your guys' thoughts real quick. What's your thoughts on the fact that Austin kind of took the long route and intentionally did not accept?
I think it was smart as hell. I've said it the whole time. Too many guys want to jump on that opportunity right away. And not that I'm saying you should turn down opportunity, but dude, like, how many guys do you see go in there and they got 4, 5, 6 fights, whatever it is, and then they go in there and fight, and then they realize, oh shit, this is a whole nother class of opponent. I mean, at this point, Austin is now 13. He's 14-0 now that he won this fight, but he was 13-0 before he came into the UFC. They can barely get him a fight on the regional scene, and that was the other point I was trying to make before the internet was being stupid. The guy that he was supposed to fight, Tommy McMillan, backs out of this fight 2 weeks beforehand. And again, I could totally be wrong, but I feel like the only reason why that happened is because he knew that, oh shit, this kid's better than what we had expected to be. Now, all props to his opponent that stepped up and took it on 2 weeks' notice. But what was hilarious to me, and I'm quoting you what the woman said in the comment. So shout out to Matt Friendo. Shout out to Lights Out. I will be back on commentary September 28th. You know, my birthday is a few days before that. So if you feel like buying me a drink, please do so. But with that being said, Matt Friendo had put up a post, and I'm looking on Facebook, bro, and you see these people talking about, oh, that piggyback thing is so weak. I've never seen nothing like that. That piggyback thing is so weak. It's like you've never seen somebody get their back taken in a fight. And he choked him. And he goes, we all know that wouldn't happen with Tommy. And I couldn't help myself but comment. If Tommy was so confident that he was going to beat Austin, then how come he backed out 2 weeks beforehand? Not saying he can't be injured. Not saying that he can't be injured. I'm just saying to go on there and comment, oh, we know that wouldn't happen with Tommy. Well, do we though? Because
what was his injury? Did they disclose what his injury was? I
don't know why he pulled out. So like I said, I don't know if he's hurt or sick or what. But all I know is that he backed out 2 weeks ago. You get the guy that comes in here and takes the shot. You know, all the respect in the world to him. Yeah. But dude, he dominated that guy from pillar to post.
Yeah, I agreed. He was patient. He fought his.
He landed good shots too. Everybody that says all he did was wrestle, like when they got into the striking exchanges, he cracked that dude a few times. So
I think people are just used to the constant striking because that's what the UFC has kind of been targeting as of late. So when you do get a guy that's like more grappling focused, but still has the ability to throw hands. Like you see it with like the Islams and stuff of the world. Like people hate on him and say like, oh, he can't strike or this, that, and the other. He's gonna get outclassed in the striking by Dustin Poirier. Like I'm a huge Dustin Poirier fan. We seen how that fight played out. It was fairly even on the feet. You know, Islam was able to land quite a few good shots throughout that fight because, surprise, these MMA artists are actually practicing all aspects of the fighting game. They're not just working on their grappling, even if that is the main thing that they focus on during the fight.
I mean, here's the thing. What up, though, Donald? Good to see you, King of the Kill, my man. Appreciate you. We're just talking about past guests of the show, Austin Bashi, shocking the world like we all said he was going to do, and showing people what time it is on Dana White's Contender Series. And I, for one, am very much so looking forward to seeing what he does and how quickly he turns around. Because, again, you know, like we've talked about on this show multiple times, I've been around the fight game now for almost 20 years. And I feel like the number one thing you see, especially as I don't want to say easier, but there's more of a path to get to the UFC. I feel like people, they get 3, 4, 5 wins as a pro, and then they want the shot with Contender Series. Again, I stick by what I said. I think Austin getting all the experience he did in Muay Thai fights, jiu-jitsu tournaments, you know, MMA fights, obviously. I think having the whole mix of that, this kid is not going to be scared of the lights.
Yeah,
because he's
what is he? 22, right?
22, and he's already 14-0 as a pro.
Yeah, you got to look out for that kid, man. I'm telling you. Yeah. Anytime you see that name on the card, keep your eye on him because something special right there.
I was reading the Mark Ramundi's write up for him before the Contender Series fight, and he had mentioned in there how while he was amateur, they were unable to find fights for him, so they actually had to move him up from the amateur rankings before he was even able to get his, you know, Michigan ruled 5th amateur fight before you can turn pro. He only had 2, I believe, is what the article said, before they moved him up to pro because they just could not find people that would accept a fight with him, and that was when he was 18. So to see where this kid has come at such a young age, and you know, hopefully he goes into the UFC and makes a splash. But I think with all the skills that he brings to the table, I think it's almost inevitable.
Yeah.
I wonder what matchups they make for him, especially now that he's at 45. Who are we thinking is a good match at 45 for somebody like Bashi?
I mean, he's fought a lot at bantamweight too, though. He just started fighting at 45, so I mean,
they said on the show though that he's done.
Yeah, they said
he's
he's
45.
He's going to be fighting 45. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of them, dude. I mean, hell, you this weekend even you've got Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez. I mean, bro. I mean, I don't have any names off the rip that I would throw him in there with. But I mean, obviously, I'm a little biased because I've known the kid since he was a kid. But I don't really think it's going to matter who they put him in there with because I feel like I
feel like. Oh, sorry, Kyle. You shit was cutting. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just saying, like, I feel like I don't think it's going to matter the opponent you put in there because, again, I feel like the experience that he was able to gain through fighting all those other fights. I mean, at this point, he's been on the radar for at least a few years now. So
Yeah.
I feel like at this point, bro, it's going to be another day in the office for him. I mean, obviously, different styles could give you different issues, but I don't think they're going to give him a big name off the rip, but if you put him in there with, just some of the people they got at 145, I mean, I think this kid's going to come in and shock a lot of people, especially given the fact that you look at him and he looks like a babyface killer. You wouldn't think anything with him. He's got the big curly hair and all that stuff, but man, I don't know if you peeped it, but when that kid walks down to the cage, the look on his face, he's ready to kill somebody. So
one thing I definitely noticed too is he's starting. I don't know if that's just simply because of the fact that he's not having to cut as much weight and he's able to kind of focus on building his body up instead of trying to constantly maintain near 135. But that boy had a little barrel chest in them photos where they had him, for the pose. I was like, damn, man. Austin's looking a little thick. He wasn't looking quite that thick when I was seeing him at the fights for Lights Out and shit. He's looking quite stout. I was like, my boy is definitely thicking out. But the reason why I bring up opponents, I would like to see him against somebody the likes of like a Damon Jackson or somebody like that's fought like some of the top. He was just ranked like a couple fights ago, so there would be like that real close to the. It would be a real good way to make a big splash right away, in my opinion.
You think we'll see him fight by the end of the year or what?
Oh, yeah. I think he's going to have a quick turnaround, especially with how he won that fight. I feel like he'll definitely have a quick turnaround. But talking about turnarounds, dude, we got there's two other fights I want to talk about before we get over to the pro wrestling end of things, which all of you guys who are checking us out from bodyslam.net, make sure you stay tuned because we've got plenty to talk about on that tip, but make sure you're paying attention for more of the pro wrestling ilk. But this weekend, you've got Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady. And I know that Gilbert has been like 2-2 in his last few fights. Sean Brady's looking good. But man, if Gilbert Burns is able to stop Sean Brady from letting this fight go to the ground, I think Sean Brady is going to be in trouble on his feet.
I mean, that if history repeats itself, then yes, right? Because that's what we've seen in the Bilal Muhammad fight from Sean Brady was that once he wasn't able to land the takedowns, once his grappling game was stifled, we've seen the better striking of Bilal Muhammad kind of take over that fight and really dominate. That being said, like I seen Sean Brady mention in his media days and stuff this week, people are trying to say he got the train got derailed and he got hype checked and all this kind of stuff because he lost to the guy that's now the champ. Like that type of stuff happens on your way up. If I'm not mistaken, he was undefeated before that fight.
He was.
In my eyes, I feel like this is a really good matchup between two guys that are kind of like who's going to make that step to maintain their position towards the top and who's going to end up kind of in more of a gatekeeper role currently. That being said, I feel like Sean Brady, he didn't jump back in immediately after that loss. If I'm not mistaken, that was almost like a year ago now. And I feel like for Burns is at the later end of his career. I feel like his skills, if history repeats itself, he'll win come Saturday. That being said, I feel like Sean Brady did realize that maybe his striking wasn't up to par. Maybe I do need to round out that aspect of my game more and maybe we'll see that come Saturday if the wrestling's not successful. And honestly, I don't know if Gilbert Burns is the type of person that you want to be trying to implement, grappling as your
Well, that
main
was my
strategy.
whole point with what I was saying. I mean, in the regular, in a grappling exchange, you would think that Sean Brady is going to have the advantage there. But again, I don't know why, but I just have my gut tells me that this is going to be one of those fights that because both guys are good in wrestling, even if that's in this case, like, Gilbert is more of a jiu-jitsu guy, and obviously so is Brady. I feel like Gilbert Burns is going to want to keep it on his feet, even though I don't think he's scared to go with Brady on the ground. But the one advantage that I do think that Gilbert Burns is going to have is if it does cancel itself out and he has to, it gets into a striking match, which is what happens a lot of the time with, those kind of matchups.
Mhm.
I don't see Sean Brady being able to take the power from Gilbert Burns. I like Sean Brady, but something in me says Gilbert Burns wins this fight. J-Bone, who do you got?
Dude, I'm a Gilbert Burns fan. That dude's a killer, and anytime he's on the feet, he usually has the advantage of winning the fight. So, like, I'm with you. I don't think Brady can weather that storm if it comes, and I don't think he can handle that power. So, I'm taking Gilbert Burns, man, all day.
It's all in if he's going to if he's going to be able to mix it all up and be able to do all right with it. But
Yeah.
I mean, only
I do think
time
you're right
is-
about the jiu-jitsu, though. I think they're going to cancel each other out on that.
I don't know, man. I just don't see this fight breaking down into like this big grappling match. That's why I feel like inevitably at some point, no matter how long that's going to be for, I feel like that's where we're going to have to end up. Also this weekend, we've got past guests of the show, your BKFC women's champ. You've got Christine Ferea.
Wait, on. Gotta take the gloves off for this one.
Is going to be fighting Jad Masong Wong. And I'm going to be honest, I enjoy watching Jad Masong Wong fight, but skill wise, dude, I just think that Christine's going to eat her up. Like, I mean, I feel like a lot of her getting this title shot, not that she hasn't had wins, she's very marketable. All you have to do is look at her social media, look at all those things. I feel like that is going to be, that's why she may have gotten thrust into the spot. But I think when it comes down to the nut cutting time for what happens once we get in there, I just think that Christine is way more the skilled fighter of the two of them. And I feel like Christine is going to win this fight.
Dude, there's a reason she's labeled as the GOAT of BKFC right now. She definitely is. With her track record and the way she's been fighting, not to mention past guests of the show, but she's a killer, dude. So I don't think it changes in this fight. I think she's going to go out there and eat her up. So that's where I'm at with it.
I mean, like you were just saying, J-Bone, true legend of the bare knuckle game. And to see what she's been able to do in her title run is just phenomenal. I mean, she really has just ran through girls. I'm going to just say Jason Wong because I'm terrible with that whole three combo name there. But she is a killer, though. We've seen it for people that have been paying attention to her fighting.
She's tough as shit. Don't mistake what I'm saying. I don't think she's going to back down from the fight or anything, but I just feel like it comes down to like skill for skill. I think Christine's the better boxer. I think Christine probably hits harder. I think the best chance for Jad to win this fight, or for Masan Wong, or however you want to do it, but I think for her to win, she's going to have to make this fight nasty. But I feel like in making said fight nasty, I feel like that also could play right into Christine's game.
I don't. With the skills she brings to the fight, I don't know if that's somebody you want to be necessarily in there fighting dirty with. I feel like we've seen.
But what other ways could she? What other ways could you realistically see her win?
We've seen her land some one-hitter quitters before against significantly less talented people, and I do not see that type of fate happening for Christine Ferea. But I feel like she definitely does carry power in her hands, so there is that chance where she lands a solid shot. But like you said, I mean, I'm just really playing devil's advocate here for who I feel like's ultimately going to win. I mean, Christine Ferea, like we all said, there's a reason why we love having her on the show almost every time she makes a title defense, because she is the queen of BKFC. She really is that next level of like champion over there. She's been such a long reigning, in my eyes, in all the fights, she hasn't really had a tough challenge yet. She just keeps running through these girls. So we'll see what comes Friday night, but
I'm with it, dude. Like I said, I'll be checking that out. Make sure you're checking that out on the BKFC app. With that said, J-Bone, we have a lot of wrestling news to talk about in this mug. Next week is officially WWE week for WWE. You have SmackDown is moving from Fox to USA, which now makes Raw and SmackDown on USA, and NXT will be moving from USA to the CW. So you've got two new networks, and on top of that, WWE is coming in hot out of the gate. Got CM Punk going to be at the debut episode that's Tuesday in Chicago, and then when they go to St. Louis, they're bringing Randy Orton in, which we all know Randy Orton is the guy out there in St. Louis. They're throwing all guns blazing, man. And after what we watched this past weekend at NXT No Mercy, which was a badass show, WWE's hitting on all cylinders right now, bro. Not really a whole lot of other ways to really to put that. But what are your thoughts on WWE Week, J-Bone? What do you think about them going to USA? And what do you think the move for NXT is going to do to CW?
I mean, dude, we've been saying it for months, years. I don't know since Triple H has taken over, they've had their foot on the gas pedal the whole time. So nothing changes. I feel like if anything, they're going to get more of an audience. They're going to get more people who already. So is it going to be on the CW app too?
I mean, I would assume so, but I know it's live on the channel though.
Right. Okay. So yeah, everybody's going to be shifting over the same way we're going to do when Raw hits Netflix. We're all going to be shifting our eyes to somewhere else. That's all it is. There's a following there, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to grow, and it's going to grow, and it's going to grow. And by them throwing CM Punk here, Randy Orton here, you're doing nothing but wonders for the brand. So NXT is getting bigger. WWE is just growing as far as it can. We didn't even think it could grow bigger than this. It's just going to keep going, man. So they can't do no wrong right now. Honestly, they haven't. So until they start to, what can you say? All arrows pointing up at this point.
I mean, they're coming out guns blazing, bro. There's no real way to put it. I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, do you think going to net?" I think them going to Netflix. I think we're gonna get the closest thing that you're gonna see to like what the Attitude Era is, because I feel like they have a lot.
And people are gonna follow. I mean, I know there's people out there like,
dude, Netflix's subscriptions are gonna go through the roof, dog.
Yeah,
like
you're not gonna sit there and not watch it. If you're a fan of it and you love it like we do, you're not gonna not follow. So.
Well, not to mention, now that they're on Netflix, I would argue that more people have Netflix than they do, being able to see it on Fox and all that other shit. Sure, so, I mean, I feel like it's only going to bring more eyes. It's probably going to bring new eyes. Like, all systems go, I think that's going to be great for them. Speaking of a little bit of
January, correct? Is it January?
Yeah, Netflix is in January. Next week, they move SmackDown from Fox to USA.
Now, was that you think that's a move because of the NFL and everything, and different rights to different games? I mean, I don't know.
I just think it's who paid them the most fucking money.
I think so. Yeah, and that's probably it. Not that WWE even needs to compete anywhere. I feel like, because they have their own established fan base.
I was going to say, I feel like they got their own lane. To be honest,
they do. There's really no competing anymore. But yeah, I think it just comes down to money and eyes, man. So. Good for them. Like I said, all systems go in WWE. Nothing's changed.
Speaking of which, bro, what about this Odyssey Jones shit?
Okay, I guess something is going. There's one bad apple in that whole app. Okay, yeah. Okay, there's that. I'm not gonna sit here and
dude, you talk about an abrupt 360. Yeah. We went from adding a new guy to the New Day and all that, and everybody was all pissed, and then the next day it comes out that the guy got in trouble for domestic violence and is immediately released from the company. Like not a we're gonna do an investigation, we're gonna look into this. The first thing that was reported is Odyssey Jones has been released from WWE. Not even a mention of him on Raw or nothing.
Nothing. And I'm not going to sit here and judge. I'm not going to sit here and throw allegations around because I don't know. I haven't even read into it. But it's got to be something serious enough for them to say, you know what, we don't want your name tied to ours. Goodbye. Especially throwing them into a storyline with arguably one of the greatest tag teams of all times. So yeah, there's got to be some kind of truth there, man. And they don't want him, involved in that. So horrible timing on his part. I'll tell you that. That is, I don't know if that's a stroke of bad luck or a stroke of karma, but either way.
Usually with those things, I lean more towards karma because, I mean, it's just like what we heard with Nikki Bella and what happened with her husband and the whole domestic violence thing with that. Like, look, man, I get it. Everybody's got their own relationships all got their own problems, but dude, the whole beating up women thing ain't never a good thing.
Right.
And if the situation with Enzo Amore is any barometer to look at, I mean, he got cleared of all charges, but because people jumped on it so quick, he ends up getting fired. So I mean, if there's truth to it, which since they didn't say anything to it, I'd imagine there is. I don't think it's looking good for my man, but
I don't either. So it is what it is. He's time to move on from,
Talking about moving on, though, we saw CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a strap match in Berlin. And damn, did they whip the shit out of each other. But after what we saw on Monday Night Raw, clearly that is not the end of what we're seeing with Punk and Drew. I think we're headed for a steel cage or something of that ilk. I think Hell in a Cell would be perfect with them going to Bad Blood. What did you think of Punk versus Drew and Bash in Berlin, J-Bone? And what do you think about what we're gonna see coming up at Bad Blood? How do you think that match should go?
I love that match, actually. I didn't know what to expect because I wasn't aware of the whole lights on the pole thing. But they utilized that pretty good.
Do that back in the day. That's not the first time.
Yeah. I just didn't. For some reason, when they said strap match, I didn't think it was going to be that, right? But
what were you thinking?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I just imagine two guys strapped together, beating the shit out of each other, and I don't know. I guess I just didn't think about that. But I liked it.
I liked it. One thing. I like that only because I feel like the pinfall, although yes, it's universal. In a match like that, I don't think you should be able to win like the stereotypical way. Otherwise, then why are we doing the strap part?
Yeah, I don't know why. That's just where my mind was. But that's one of those stories, man. Like we talk about, stories throughout WWE all the time, and this one, it's like you don't want it to go over. I don't want it to be over. I love this.
Well, I think the way they did it and what happened on Raw pretty much guaranteed that that's not going to be the end of this. He beat the dog shit out of Punk, left him bleeding out of his mouth, beat him up when they got him in the ambulance. Drew McIntyre is losing it out here.
Yes.
All I know is I'm here for another run of Drew.
And it's one of those stories that's like you don't want it to end because it's like the best one going. It is definitely the best story going in wrestling in WWE right now. For me personally, not saying that's how it should be for everybody, but this is one you don't want to end. You want to see how it keeps going.
What up, though, Randy?
Who the hell is going to beat the hell out of each other next week? We got to see how Punk comes back and retaliates because he's gonna. And it's going to get violent. We know Punk can get pretty violent, man. So I'm here for it. Let's keep it going, dude. And I hope it's a Hell in a Cell because we need a good Hell in a Cell match.
I forgot what year it is, but isn't it like I forgot what year it is, but isn't it it's like what the 27th anniversary or the third I forgot the year. But it's like the something year anniversary for the Bad Blood Hell in a Cell match, the first one we saw with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. For that alone, and the fact that you're calling the pay-per-view Bad Blood, dude, I'm 100% here for a Hell in a Cell match between these two. I just think,
and you know, if they do it that way, there's going to be throwbacks. So you're going to have to really like keep your eyes on for the Easter eggs. Punk loves to do that. You know what I mean? So
I love that shit. I've always been a fan of that.
And
stuff.
We're on the cusp of like getting into this like new, I don't want to call it attitude, Arab attitude-ish with the blood and the cussing and stuff like that. This Hell in a Cell match could really establish going forward what it should look like, if that makes sense. Because Hell in a Cell in the previous years just didn't add up to what we had in the Attitude Era. You know what I mean? So we get to kind of change the curve here on a Hell in a Cell match. We can
A
make
Hell
it
in a
bloody,
Cell does not
make it
just
nasty.
better not be red. Please don't paint it red.
Yeah, I
again.
don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want the red Hell in a Cell.
I don't know who said that was a good idea, but the first time they unveiled it was when they did the
Vince?
original Hell in a Cell pay-per-view here in Detroit. I don't know who the fuck thought that was a good idea, but it was so bright red that it almost was like distracting.
Yes.
Kinda.
Yeah. You almost like couldn't even see through like in there. It's like, yeah. It was eye irritating. Screw that.
I'm
Bring
with
back
it.
the classic.
I'm with it. I just, for me, that's how I hope that this ends. I think a Hell in a Cell match is the perfect way to do that. I feel like, and that's the perfect feud for that to happen as well. Like,
Yeah.
like I said, it's going to be interesting because again, it kind of goes back to the point we were talking about earlier in the show that I feel like just overall, man, just the momentum that WWE has in a whole, dude. I just feel like it's going to be tough to stop them or derail them.
Yeah, they can't miss right now. So,
what were your thoughts on AEW All In, and what are your thoughts as we go into AEW All Out? Though, do you think that it's another situation like we've talked about in past years where All In being so close to All Out is going to hurt it, or you know what I mean? Like, do you feel like All Out's going to be able to have enough steam for the pay-per-view itself to like draw more in? Now, I will say, after what we saw on Dynamite on Wednesday, Hangman Page lit Swerve's house that he just bought, his childhood home, lit that bitch on fire on live TV.
yeah.
Like, I'm not going to lie. I did not have that on my bingo card in 2024. We're actually lighting a house on fucking fire on live TV.
Did you see did you see the image on Twitter where it was Hangman sitting in front? It looked like an album cover.
But it looked like some shit Jelly Rolling dude.
Yeah, well, they had it as like an album cover, like new release, whatever, parental advisory, all this cool stuff. But no, that's just one of their angles, man. That's really good. But back to your point, I think it's too soon for another pay-per-view. We just had the big pay-per-view.
Yeah, but
what are we, a week or 2 weeks later? I get it, but it's not like that's the only thing that's really helping with it is like we're carrying the end of All In into another match at All Out. They did that part right, but it's just too soon. It's just too soon.
I think that's why All In being in Texas next year and the fact that they kind of spread it out from where All Out is, like as far as time wise, I think that's going to give it more chance to breathe. I've been saying that for the last few years, having been to a bunch of the All Outs. But that being said, there's a lot of stuff that I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out. Obviously, I think that match is going to be insane. Yes, they said it's going to be a steel cage match, but they also said it's going to be a lights out match. So I very much expect that probably to be the last match on the card. The irony of the whole thing too is the other thing I wanted to talk about. Let's not forget that earlier in this same feud, Swerve was the one that went to Hangman's house and was stalking his pregnant wife.
Yeah.
And now Hangman says, "Oh, you want to stalk my wife? I raise you a little bit more, and I'm just going to burn your fucking house down. That's what we're going to do. You want to stalk my wife? I'm going to burn your house down."
Who's writing this? It's not Tony Khan. He can't be the one writing this stuff. Unless he's watching like 1997 Brian Pillman Stone Cold stuff.
No, if he did that, he'd have been shooting a pistol at him.
How can we make this better? We're going to burn the place to the ground. No. I'm here for it. I like it. It's going to be that feud is definitely carried well. That's going to be a good match, whatever's going to happen there. What do you say? It might be a lights out match? Is that what you said?
It's going to be a cage match, but they call it a lights out match. So that basically means it's going to be unsanctioned and stuff, which is why I feel like that show has to like end the show.
Sure.
So I feel
gotta
like
get messy. Let it get messy.
I mean, they bleed a lot in AEW as it is. So I would imagine we're probably going to see a lot of blood. But with that said, another match that's interesting to me just based on who they're giving the title shot to. First of all, what did you think of Bryan Danielson winning the title at All In? And what are your thoughts on him versus the TNT champion and Jack Perry?
Danielson getting that title was definitely that was wrestling theater for me, man. That was, especially if you watch him throughout WWE, everything he's done, the prestige he's carried throughout his career. One of the more respected wrestlers in the business, I'd say. For him to raise a belt this late in his career, he deserves it. He deserved it in front of all those people, and he's the right guy to carry the belt right now, considering we don't know where he's going to be pretty soon on his contract. But him and Jack Perry, this is like, it's a match you want to see, but it's almost a match you didn't know you want to see. You know what I mean? It's not like we're going to get.
He wouldn't have been the name I would have thought would get inserted right to the heavyweight.
With the way Jack Perry is right now, with the way his character's going, with the way he's carrying himself, you wouldn't expect him to be in a wrestling match with Danielson. You know what I mean? But I'm here for it. Jack Perry, he's got to get all the reps he can, man, because that's the future of their company. So why not get him in there with these guys now? He's not going to win a title, but hey, you get him in there.
Do you think it hurts Jack though at all, the fact that he's the TNT champion, and if he goes in there and goes to go for the world title and loses, now your TNT champion's taking losses?
I don't think so. I think it depends on how it happens. I think he's going to go out there and have a great match with Danielson. Going to be a banger. Could even be a brawl. But I don't think Danielson, he's going to win. Danielson's going to win, but I don't think he's going to escape without being really beat up by Jack Perry.
And don't forget about the Elite, dude. I mean, the Elite always are never too far to find. But, you know, with that being said, do you I mean, so I think we're both picking the same people. I think Danielson keeps the title on this one. But what are your thoughts on what we've seen with the Jon Moxley thing? Do you think he's going to have his whole own new faction? Because he never really got excommunicated from the Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah, no, that was like a open door for me. I was left open. I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening there. He seems a little more unhinged, right, than we've seen him recently. But that remains to be seen. The whole "it's not your company anymore" thing, that lit a fire on Twitter, dude. And I know everybody's saying it's something to do with Shane McMahon. Like, I don't think it's that.
If Shane did show up, now that would be something that AEW could do. That would be.
But do you think that would have anything to do with Mox, though?
I mean, well, if you think about it, you know, Shane McMahon's obviously the WWE guy. Mox came from WWE. Like, I guess I could see it from that point. But I guess like the sticking point for me on the whole thing is, how does that tie in? Like I said, how does that tie in with the whole Blackpool Combat Club thing? Because he never really got excommunicated. They didn't have a beef. It's not like he got jumped out. It's not like he said he was quitting. And you notice he's also coming out to his New Japan theme song now, versus Wild Thing. I think it's really dope that they got Marina Shafir with him. Like I've said that she's been underrated for a long time, and in real life probably could kick most men's ass. So seeing her go around beating the shit out of people is not a bad thing to see on my screen. So not mad at it, but I'm very interested to see how this unfolds and how that'll correlate to the Blackpool Combat Club, and if we see them get involved.
Yeah, that remains to be seen, man. It's kind of like Mox is here, BCC's here, and they're just on the separate sides of the room. Hey, we know we're both here, but we're just not.
But they gotta, BCC's gotta inquire at some point. Like
at some point, you think they gotta figure something out. So
all right. See. So now we've talked about Mox and all of them. I want to talk about the other match that I mean, everybody, even though we all might hate the guy, you know, there's a reason why there's the chant, "He's our scumbag." MJF versus Daniel Garcia. I think this match is going to be a war. And I thought what they did on Dynamite on Wednesday with MJF goading him up into the stairs, he beats the shit out of all the security guards, gets up to MJF just to get cracked in the head with a bottle and gets knocked the fuck out. There's one thing you can say about can't say about MJF. The guy is not stupid.
Right. And he can scrap. Like his character might be a scumbag weasel type of guy, but he definitely, it's not like he's out there doing the whole bad guy, like, don't hit me gimmick. You know what I mean? Like, he's still being violent and hitting dudes with bottles. So that you're right. That match should be a banger. It's going to be a banger, and I think that out of that card, I think that one's going to stick out, and I think that potentially could be the match to watch that night.
I mean, I think Swerve versus Hangman is the one I want to see most, but MJF and Garcia is going to be dope. I mean, with that, I would say it's pretty safe to say that the Swerve match, obviously, like I said, is going to be after the world title. But yeah, that would definitely be the other match I'm looking forward to. What do you think about Mercedes Moné versus Hikaru Shida?
I'm here for that too. I don't know, man. I don't know if what I'm seeing from Mercedes Moné is maybe it's because I expected more. I don't really know, but I'm not like she's not lighting up my screen like I expected her to, if that makes sense. So I feel like she just needs to get in and have good wrestling matches at this point.
Well,
I don't know why it's not hitting. I couldn't tell you.
Well,
why,
I was about to ask you that. I mean, with that being said, I mean, do you think a lot of it could have something to do with the fact that, like, even though everybody says they want to have more creative control, is able to talk more, you know, and say what they want, I almost wonder if in this case she's got too much free reign as far as to what she says in her promos, because I don't think I think she expected all the fans from AEW to just like immediately like take to her because she is who she is. But
yeah, it didn't. I mean, I'll tell you, since she came in, when she came in, it was red hot, right? Everybody's watching. I was entertained, but it didn't take long for it to just kind of fizzle out for me. So right now, I'm interested in seeing her in good wrestling matches. I could watch it on mute, though. That could be a problem. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that changes, if it changes, man. But other than that, hopefully she has a good match. It should be a good match. On paper, it's a good match. But we'll have to see.
Hell yeah, man. And then, you know, now we've got like we said, we talked a little bit about No Mercy. You had you know, Zachary Wentz, past guest of the show, getting him a dub over Wes Lee on NXT. And Joe Hendry going for the world title, even though he's not even a WWE guy, which is just insane and tells you where we're at in the whole thing. Also, shout out to Joe Hendry for liking our clip of our interview with the Matt Cardona. And, you know, even Matt said he believes in Joe Hendry. So if you don't believe in Joe Hendry, I don't know what you're watching. But, yeah, man, I'm really looking for it's a great time to be in wrestling, dude. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, it's a great time to be in wrestling. You're getting to see things that you would never see any other time.
Yeah. And we got a lot more to see with this whole TNA and WWE partnership. I got a feeling there's some stuff on the horizon that's gonna blow us away, man. And I'm here for it. I can't wait.
Can't wait for Bound for Glory to get here either, man. Shout out to our guy PCO. You know, I was talking to him about the passing of Sid Vicious. Like I said, man, I am really looking forward for TNA to get to town. Shout out to them again for giving us the opportunity to interview Matt Cardona. Matt, I am going to take you up on my end of the bargain. I'm going to be getting Jay the Tank and Major Bendy here to go for his birthday. You know, my mom went and bought him wrestling action figures the other day, and she just bought what was there. She bought him the New Day and shit. I was like, oh damn. So we're starting off with the New Day. He's gonna have all the New Day. I plan to go get him a Venom and you know, something else there. So I'm definitely enjoying that part of it. But yeah, dude, quite a lot of stuff going on in the world of wrestling. You know, we've got what we've got as far as the MMA world. We talked BKFC. Like I said, dude, I'm just really interested to see how this all plays out, how this ends up helping TNA. And I think we're walking into a period, dude, where I just think wrestling is not going to cool off anytime soon. And then, you know, as far as MMA goes, I'm interested to see if this show that happens at the Sphere will get Dana to contemplate doing more of those shows at the Sphere. I've said for years, I think the UFC would be well served to kind of adopt more of like the WWE entrance way, like they used to have back in the day, just
for sure
to kind of spruce it up a little bit. But then again, I don't know if it would really matter, being the fact that they don't show the entrances anyway. So
that's true too. Yeah.
I don't know how much
I
that
just in that event though, I feel like it could not for the main event, but for guys on the undercard and guys maybe mid card or opening the show, it's almost like the Sphere is overshadowing the event itself. And I feel like it's not a good thing as a fighter. It can't be good mentally to be like, oh, I can't wait to see what the Sphere looks like, rather than focusing on your fight and your opponent. So we got to get this one out of the way. Let's get this one over with. Let's get through the theatrics. It's going to look great. Don't get me wrong, but we got to get by that and let these guys focus on their fights, man, because I feel like that is so overshadowing right now in that aspect. So we'll see.
We'll see, man. I know Dana said that it's going to be a one and done at the Sphere, but I've already heard the talks that they're looking like every fight's going to have its own like world and shit. So
yeah.
If anything from what we've seen from Karate Combat is what that looks like, I'd like to hope that we're going to see a lot more fights there than expected. So we'll have to see how all that shit plays out. I don't know, man. I feel like we've covered the gamut on most everything that's going on. Next week, hopefully, as long as the internet cooperates, we will be joined by the 1FC champion, Jared Brooks, talking about his big win and getting his belt back and what he wants next. I heard he wants to mix it up with Mighty Mouse, which I'm here for that too. Like I said, lots of good stuff to come. Glad to be back on your airwaves. Wow, Internet, get your shit together. Shout out to our sponsors, Potter's Tree Service. Make sure you hit them up and tell them that we sent you. And I don't know, boys. I feel like we've covered the gamut on this one. I'm ready for the Stained and Breaking Benjamin concert next week. We'll have even more to talk about. Make sure you check us out on all the social medias. And hey, if you feel froggy, what should J-Bone and I go as for costumes for Cheapy Creepy? If you come up with something good, maybe it might make its way to social media. Last year, I killed the Orange Cassidy gimmick. I even backdropped a guy in the motherfucking mosh pit. So we'll have to see what happens when I get there again. Hopefully I don't almost blow my knee out. That would be great. But dude, that was the worst part of that. I about blew my knee out, and the next thing I know, the guy, because I slipped on alcohol, the next thing I know, the same guy's coming charging at me, and I just sent his ass flying. So
he's gonna be looking for you this year too. You're
fuck
a marked
around and
man,
find
bro.
out. I tell you all the time, bro. A kick in the dick works 100% of the time. So run up, get done up. Until next time, and in between time, there ain't no shame in my game. Hit the motherfucking subscribe button. Hit that link. Make sure you hit up the homies from Potter's Tree Service. Tell them that we told you. Tell them that we sent you. You don't need Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Get you a 2x4 and have Asa and Potter's Tree Service get you together. Until next time, and in the in-between time, stay tuned because you never know who could be on the other side of that box. Peace.